So why do you need uninsured motorist coverage on your policy? I'll give you three reasons. Number one, the other driver does not have insurance. Number two, the other driver does not have enough insurance to cover your medical bills and pain and suffering. And number three, you're involved in a hit and run accident and the other driver flees the scene of the accident. Studies show that in California, about 16 to 17% of drivers do not carry liability insurance. So if you get into an accident with one of those drivers and it is their fault, you will not be able to get compensated for your medical bills, your lost income, and your pain and suffering unless you carry uninsured motorist coverage. However, if you have uninsured motorist coverage on your policy, then your insurance company would step into the shoes of the other driver and protect you and compensate you for your medical bills, lost income, and pain and suffering. And do not worry about your insurance premiums increasing, because unless you're more than 50% at fault, your insurance premiums will not increase. After all, it's not your fault that the other side does not have insurance. So, what happens if you suffer major injuries in an accident, but the at-fault driver does not have enough insurance to cover your medical bills, lost income, and pain and suffering? I'll give you an example. We had a client that was making a left-hand turn from Ventura Boulevard onto Van Nuys Boulevard. He was struck from behind by a careless driver. That impact pushed him into an oncoming car, and he was struck a second time by the oncoming car. Now, our client did nothing wrong, but he ended up having two broken legs. Unfortunately, the at-fault driver carried a minimum policy, so we were only able to recover $15,000 from the at-fault party's insurance company. Now, he did have uninsured motorist coverage, which helped him because it also served as underinsured motorist coverage. He had $30,000 in coverage. What that meant was, after we collected the first $15,000 from the other side, we could dip into his uninsured motorist coverage for an additional $15,000. But unfortunately, that still wasn't enough to fully compensate him for his injuries. So my suggestion is, if you do carry uninsured motorist coverage, make sure you carry enough that will help protect you in a major accident and from major injuries. It seems that we hear about hit and run accidents every other week. A hit and run is when a vehicle causes an accident, but the driver leaves the scene of the accident without exchanging information. Sometimes they do it because they have no insurance. Sometimes they do it because they're doing something nefarious or illegal and don't want to get caught. Well, if you have uninsured motorist coverage, that will also protect you in a hit and run accident. However, for uninsured motorist coverage to cover a hit and run accident, three things must happen. Number one, there has to be physical contact between your vehicle and the vehicle that fled the scene of the accident. So just saying that a vehicle cut me off and I had to swerve to avoid the accident and hit a pole does not count. Number two, you have to call law enforcement and make a report as soon as possible. And number three, you have to call your insurance company and report the accident within 24 hours. Once you do all those three, and there is uninsured motorist coverage, you will be covered for a hit and run accident. There are other circumstances that uninsured motorists can come into play and protect you. If you're a passenger in somebody else's vehicle and the vehicle gets into an accident, but there's not enough insurance to cover your injuries, then you can dip into your uninsured motorist coverage as well. And it may even protect you as a pedestrian if you get hit by a vehicle and there's not enough insurance, or if a vehicle commits hit and run. But that depends on the policy, so you may want to check into that. Either way, uninsured motorist is extremely important for you to carry on your policy. My name is Mason Rashtian. My firm is called the Mason Law Firm. We meet our clients by accident.